Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, and we dig into what really matters.
That's right.
Today's source is, well, it's a bit different from our usual stuff, the articles and studies.
Yeah. What have we got?
We're diving deep into an audio track. Naughty by Nature's classic, OPP.
Oh, okay. Naughty by Nature. When this suggestion came in, I have to admit, I was intrigued.
Right.
It really highlights what the deep dive is all about, finding knowledge in, unexpected places. So a 90s hip-hop song, what are we going to learn?
Exactly. Our mission today is pretty straightforward, but I think it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
We want to unpack this incredibly catchy song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really figure out the meaning and the cultural context of OPP. So buckle up.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The song, it doesn't just, come right out and say what OPP means.
Right, it doesn't.
It sort of teases it right from the start.
Yeah.
O is for other. P is for people scratch a temple.
Yeah.
The last P, well, it's not that simple, huh?
Yeah, what's fascinating there is how playful they are, holding back the full meaning. They're drawing you in, almost daring you to guess. And this use of initials, the sort of veiled language, it's not unique to this song, obviously.
No, definitely not.
You see it pop up all over music, different genres. It's a way to talk about maybe sensitive topics indirectly, or just create that sense of, shared understanding if you're in the know.
Right. It's like they're saying, look, we all kind of know what this is about, but let's have a little fun getting there.
Exactly.
Then comes this really interesting comparison. It's sort of like another way to call a cat a kitten.
Yeah, the cat-kitten thing.
It's 5 little letters that are missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to almost soften the blow. Do you think?
I think so. Comparing it to something innocent like that.
And then bam. Yeah, you get it on occasion. The mystery's gone. It's other people's pee.
Mm-hmm.
You can fill in the blank there.
It does make you think about why they took that approach. That cat-kitten analogy, it's a great example of how we use language, doesn't it, to navigate tricky subjects.
Yeah.
It's a familiar, innocent comparison, but it's used to introduce something that's maybe considered less so, like a linguistic bridge, kind of.
Okay, so the first verse then paints a very specific picture. Meeting someone, swapping numbers, the initial flirtation.
Mm-hmm. The setup.
But then comes the key bit.
Yeah.
You call up and it's a girlfriend or a cousin's house. It's not a F, from the F to the R to the O to the A to the T.
So she's taken.
Right.
Okay.
This person is already in a relationship, but the song's attitude is pretty clear. There's no room for relationships. It's just room to hit it.
Wow.
It's presented in a very direct, almost transactional way.
Yeah, what stands out is just how stark that is, that declaration. It's not about romance, not connection.
Nope.
It's purely physical. It makes you wonder about, the attitudes towards relationships and maybe casual encounters back when this song was huge.
Yeah, like, was this reflecting something already there, or was the song itself kind of shaping that view?
Question.
And then they pull you, the listener, right in. How many brothers out there know this, what I'm getting at, who think it's wrong?
Ah, the direct address.
Yeah, it immediately creates this sense of us versus them. If you do this, you're down with OP, and you get this sort of implied membership.
That direct address is powerful, isn't it? It's not just describing something, it's inviting you to identify with it.
Totally.
And that idea of membership is interesting, too. It suggests this shared understanding, almost like a subculture built around this behavior. Makes you wonder about the social dynamics.
Which brings us naturally to that chorus. Everyone knows it. Get down with OP.
Yeah,
you know me. Who's down with OP? You know me.
Oh, yeah. Instantly recognizable.
That repetition, it's almost hypnotic, just reinforcing the idea.
Well, the chorus really acts like an anthem, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A collective yes.
Yeah.
And ever you know me. That's a bold statement. It suggests it's widespread, like totally normalized within their circles.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the call and response structure, that's classic hip hop, right? It just builds that sense of community, that shared identity even more.
But just when you think, okay, got it, figured it out.
Uh-oh.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Second verse. Flips the script.
Okay.
Suddenly, OP means something gifted. The first letter the same, but the last is something different.
Huh.
It's the longest. Lovely is lean. I call it the leanest. They're playing with the meaning, throwing a total curveball.
That lyrical pivot is pretty clever, actually.
Yeah.
It introduces ambiguity, allows for that double meaning. By linking OP with positive words like gifted and lovely, they're trying to maybe reframe that first, more explicit meaning, offer a more palatable version.
And the final P in this new version, property.
Ah, property.
Let's say the last H, there's a property. So now OP becomes other people's property.
Okay.
And the verse then describes being attracted to someone who's already taken.
Right.
And going after them anyway.
Right.
Lines like, he had someone, but he was going to be yours anyway.
So even though this interpretation sounds a bit softer, maybe more subtle,
Yeah.
it still revolves around the same basic idea. Getting involved with someone who's already in a relationship.
True.
The shift to property, it highlights a different angle, though. A sense of desire, maybe even entitlement.
Yeah, entitlement's a good word.
Towards someone who belongs, so to speak, to someone else. It's less about the act itself, maybe, and more about the person being desired because they're someone else's.
And the secrecy. That's huge in this verse.
Yeah.
Couldn't be seen with him at all, doing it in a room behind it, don't know one, but y'all are there. And then this amazing line. Throw that skull on right in the closet, though.
Wow, skull in the closet. That's a striking image.
Isn't it?
It really underlines that they know this is outside the lines,
Yeah.
you know, the hidden nature of it, wanting to keep it totally concealed.
Then the call goes out again. If you're down.
I want your hands up high.
Yeah.
Say OP. Back to the audience participation.
Exactly. And now there's even a discount with OP if you participate.
A discount.
Yeah. It's almost like they're building this whole system, like rules and benefits around this behavior.
The idea of a discount that adds another layer to this this alternative meaning. It suggests there's a reward or some advantage for doing this. It just adds to the song's complex, maybe even contradictory picture.
Okay, so verse 3 takes a more personal turn.
Right.
The artist, Treach, describes being OP'd himself like someone going after his own partner.
Oh, the tables turn.
Yeah, I had a girl, and she knew that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my girl was part of them. It's a bit of a tangled web.
That personal story, it definitely offers a different perspective. A taste of being on the receiving end of OP. It brings in some irony, maybe even a little vulnerability, acknowledging that these situations, well, they get complicated. They have real consequences.
And there's a disagreement, an argument, and then this encounter in the artist's apartment. The other person's reaction is pretty intense.
How so?
Hit the ceiling, kept on coming back and catching feelings.
Ah, the feelings.
Yeah, it shows that even in these supposedly casual things, emotions can definitely get involved.
That part of the story really highlights how unpredictable feelings are, right?
Totally.
Even if the plan is just physical, attachments can form, complications arise, the song admits that.
The verse wraps up with his original partner coming back, forcing the other person out. And then this line that's just, it almost makes you laugh. Oh no, I love your church.
Wait, what? I love your church. In that moment.
Right. It's so unexpected. Almost absurd, given the situation.
That injects some dark humor, maybe, into a tense moment. It's clumsy, a weird deflection, maybe, or it just underscores how awkward it all is.
And the artist's dismissal is firm. Now, child, flee. You gotta leave. Come grab right now. You gotta go.
Laying down the law.
And then the warning. You shouldn't have put your heart because you know I was OP. It's like, here are the unspoken rules of this OP world.
Ah, the rules again.
Yeah. You keep your mouth shut and it won't get back to her.
The idea of unwritten rules in this whole thing is fascinating. It suggests a shared understanding, right? And the need for discretion to avoid trouble. And that warning, don't get emotionally involved, it just reinforces that transactional feel we talked about earlier.
The verse ends by acknowledging, hey, probably lots of you listeners have had similar OP visits.
Right, bringing the audience back in.
And then reaffirms being down with OBP, though he says OBP there at the end.
Yeah, that final direct address again, creating that sense of shared experience.
Yeah.
Suggesting this is common enough for people to relate, even if it's not something you talk about openly.
So, okay, let's try and bring it all together. We've basically seen two distinct interpretations of OPP in this one song.
Yeah, two main threads.
The more explicit, other people's P, you know.
The first verse.
And then the slightly more veiled, other people's property.
The second verse version.
But both, really, are dealing with the same core idea, right? Infidelity. Just with different shades, different angles.
Absolutely. The song gives us this multifaceted exploration of the topic. It presents different perspectives, justifications, potential consequences. It's a raw look, sometimes contradictory, into the complexities of desire and relationships, at least through the lens of this song.
It's definitely a topic that can spark debate, no question.
Yeah.
But looking at how it's presented in pop culture, like in this massive hit song, it gives us a really interesting window into how society, or at least parts of it, grapples with these issues.
Yeah, even a seemingly simple, catchy tune can have all these layers of meaning packed inside.
Which leaves us with a thought for you, listening.
Okay.
How do language and pop culture, like this song, how do they reflect and maybe even influence how we think about relationships, about boundaries?
Good question. What does the huge popularity of a track like OPP actually tell us about the often very complicated realities of, human connection and desire? Something to think about.